In the Marty Park, artists attracted travelers with their portraits and works. James was one of the painters, but he was too young to be there. He was once the most promising artist in the field. However, his paintings were too realistic. Realism was not the main movement at the time. His works had gradually started moving to the opposite direction from the mainstream. He insisted on his own art style. He never compromised. His works are even more realistic than photographs. One's tiny wrinkles and detailed color of their pupils were all expressed in his paintings. He pursued perfection. Some have said that his work would be done easier by taking a picture. His paintings were always underrated. Some thought that he was suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder because of his perfectionism. But he never compromised. He believed someday his artwork would be recognized as a masterpiece. Summer came, and so did the rainy season. The weather slowed down the portrait work. He needed to find other work. It was a really hard time for the street artists in that season. One day, a weird woman visited his studio. Because of the rain, she was all wet. She asked James to draw her portrait and gave him 3 days to complete the job. With only one request, she asked him to draw her perfectly, same as how she looks. There was no reason to reject her request, but he felt a little weird. She was beautiful, but very freaky. The most freaky part was her eyes. James couldn't look at her eyes because just looking at them put him in a trance. The eyes were freaky, but beautiful. It was the first time for James to hesitate in his work. Can I perfectly express her freaky beauty? Can her eyes be perfectly reproduced in a portrait? For some reason, he even felt scared. But I have to do this. How can I get a perfect model like her? James started to draw. Her body and face became reborn on the paper. He started to speed up. The portrait seemed to be done faster than he thought. All right, keep going. I have enough time. The weird girl just stared at James. He felt so creeped out about her because she was not alive. No facial expression. She was just staring at him. He tried to focus. But something was off. It was really weird. Why? Oh, dang it! Why can't I draw her eyes? His time was up. The woman stood up and told James she would come back the next day. She left the studio. James, however, was not done. He couldn't leave his seat and looked at the incomplete portrait for a very long time. The next day, It rained again. The woman visited him at the same time as she did yesterday, with the same clothes. Skipping the greetings, she took a seat. Okay, her eyes today. I have enough time. Her eyes were the only thing he had left to do. But James couldn't complete her eyes. The woman told James that he only had one day left.
If you can't do it by tomorrow, I'll have to go to another studio.
James got nervous. Actually, for him, the money didn't matter at all. James really wanted to finish the portrait of this perfect model. The portrait could be his masterpiece. The portrait would help him gain the attention and reputation that he deserved. Only the eyes are left. It's almost done. Then my masterpiece will be made. Nothing left but her eyes. On the last day, she came in. James gave all of his effort into the work. Her eyes. Yes, her eyes. Finally, James completed the woman's perfect portrait.